Have you ever wondered if the person staring back at you in the mirror is truly who you are? Or is it only a mask, a shimmering echo of something much deeper, waiting behind the glass? At first glance, you see a face, familiar lines, familiar eyes, features you've grown used to carrying. But what you meet there is not you. It is only light, a reflection painted by photons, a shadow wearing your shape. The real mystery is not in what the eyes show, but in who is behind the act of seeing. All your life, you've believed yourself to be the quiet observer, sitting just behind your forehead, pulling strings, steering thoughts, and guiding this body through the corridors of time. But what if that sense of I is not the truth, but a story your mind whispers after the fact? What if memory stitched it together, fragile and convincing, like a dream you keep defending long after you've woken? Consider the chimpanzee placed before a mirror, a red mark painted on its brow. It does not reach for the glass. It touches itself. In that gesture, science saw something profound, a creature crossing the threshold into self-awareness. Yet the recognition of "that is me" is not the final answer. It is only the doorway into the deeper question. What is this me that recognizes? Each morning you stand before your own mirror, assuming the gaze that meets you is the same self you carried yesterday. You recall your name, your story, your history, and string them together like pearls on a thread of continuity. But the thread may not be as unbroken as it feels. Perhaps it is nothing more than a tale the mind recites in the background of awareness, a fragile bridge between moments that are forever new. Neuroscience sharpens the paradox instead of solving it. When Dr. Michael Gazzaniga severed the bridge between the two hemispheres of the brain, awareness itself seemed to split. Two streams of will emerged in a single skull. One hand acted without the other's permission. Two selves appeared to live side by side in the same body. So then, if you believe you're the one behind your eyes, which one is truly you? The left, the right, or neither at all? The illusion of a solid, singular identity begins to tremble, revealing cracks in the story you thought was unshakable. And then comes a discovery even more unsettling. Science reveals that your brain begins to prepare your choices seconds before you are even aware of making them. By the time you feel the spark of "I decided," the body has already moved. The thought of choosing is not a command but a narration layered on top, a story added after the fact to keep the illusion intact. This means the sense of being the author of your own will is fragile. The I behind your eyes is not giving orders. It is writing a script to explain actions already unfolding. What you've called identity begins to resemble not a core essence, but a mask. And when you search for the one wearing that mask, the figure vanishes like mist under morning light. Identity leans heavily on memory. You believe you know who you are because you recall who you've been. Yesterday folds into today. Today anticipates tomorrow, all sewn together by threads of recollection. Yet the threads are thinner than they seem. Dr. Elizabeth Loftus showed us how memories can be altered, implanted, even invented. And once planted, they bloom inside the mind as if they were lived truths, complete with sensations, emotions, and conviction. A person can weep over a memory that never existed, defend a moment that never occurred, and believe it with all their heart. If your identity is built upon such shifting ground, how stable is the you that clings so tightly to it? Each night the riddle deepens. Sleep arrives and the self dissolves into silence. Hours pass in darkness with no watcher, no name, no story. Yet when morning comes, you gather the fragments of memory, reassemble them, and carry on as if nothing was broken. You trust without question that the one who wakes is the same as the one who closed their eyes. But what binds those two together? Only memory. And memory, as science whispers, is not a recording but a reconstruction. More painting than photograph, more interpretation than fact. Centuries before neuroscience, Buddhist philosophy foresaw this mystery. The teaching of anatta, no self, suggests that what you call me is only a collection of shifting processes. Like a flame sustained by fuel, never the same from one moment to the next, yet appearing continuous. Like a river that looks whole and steady, though its waters are never the same twice. Neuroscience whispers the same unsettling truth. Identity is not a solid object you can hold in your hand, but a process endlessly written and rewritten in the background of awareness. It is not a noun, fixed and permanent. It is more like a verb, an action, a movement, something continuously becoming. If the self is not a thing, but an unfolding, then who or what is it that sits behind your eyes? Cognitive science sharpens the puzzle even further. Each time you recall a memory, it is not simply retrieved, but altered. It is restitched before being placed back into storage. What you take to be the permanent archive of your life is in fact a shifting theater. Stories revised with every performance. The you of today remembers differently from the you of tomorrow. Which version is true? Both and neither. Each is an illusion, a fresh script written in the instant of recall. What feels like a continuous thread of identity may be nothing more than a play of memory, staged in real time for the audience of awareness. If recollection is unreliable, if continuity is fragile, then the self you defend so fiercely may be little more than a character in an ongoing narrative. And if that is the case, then the deeper question is not who am I, but rather what is it that hears this story being told? This riddle echoes in the language of physics. At the quantum scale, a particle hovers in many possibilities at once until it is observed. The act of witnessing collapses the wave into a single form. Observer and observed cannot be separated. The presence of awareness changes the fabric of reality itself. Your brain behaves in a similar way. It is not a passive mirror reflecting a pre-given world. It is a painter constructing reality stroke by stroke, frame by frame. What you call the world is not what exists out there, but the best guess your brain can assemble in each passing moment. Colors do not live inside objects. They are interpretations of frequency. The firmness of a table is not what atoms truly reveal, but a sensation created so your body can grasp it. Even the smooth panorama of your vision is an illusion, stitched together from fragments, gaps invisibly patched over so you never notice the blind spots. Anil Seth calls this a controlled hallucination, one so consistent you forget that it is a fabrication. But if your entire world is generated within the mind, then who is it being generated for? Who is the witness silently receiving this grand illusion behind your eyes? It is a question that philosophers, mystics, and sages across centuries have all pointed toward, a question that lingers like a shadow at the edge of thought. The sages of old intuited what science only now begins to glimpse. Zhuangzi once wondered if loving life itself might be no different than loving a dream, so convincing in its detail, yet dissolving when the sleeper awakens. Buddhist traditions have long described ordinary perception as a veil, a fabric woven so tightly that we mistake it for the ultimate reality. Modern neuroscience finds resonance with these ancient insights. It observes the brain's default mode network, that silent orchestrator of your inner narration, and sees how deeply the sense of self depends upon this ongoing act of construction. When advanced meditators quiet this network, the illusion of being a separate I loosens. What remains is not emptiness, but awareness itself, spacious, centerless, boundless. This realization touches the heart of the mystery. If perception is a controlled hallucination, if memory is a theater, if the self is only a storyline, then the figure you imagine behind your eyes is part of the narrative, not the one writing it. What endures beyond the story is awareness itself, the silent witness through which every color, every thought, every sensation flickers into being and fades away. Turn inward and you encounter the paradox directly. Thoughts appear from nowhere, linger for a breath, then dissolve into silence. Emotions swell with force, only to ebb and give way to new currents. Sensations of the body rise, crest and fall in an endless rhythm. Even the sense of being the observer, the me you assume is steady, flickers in and out, shifting like a flame in the wind. The more carefully you search for something fixed, the more elusive it becomes. Instead of a solid entity, what you find is a river of events flowing through awareness, moment after moment, never holding still. You do not encounter a permanent watcher. You encounter only the dance of experience itself. Science, too, has peered into this riddle. Dr. Benjamin Libet's groundbreaking experiments revealed that before you consciously decide to move, your brain has already prepared the action. By the time the thought, "I chose," arises, the choice has already been set in motion. What you call intention may simply be the echo, not the origin. You may have always believed that there is a clear decision maker living behind your eyes, an inner commander carefully choosing each path you take. Yet modern science and ancient wisdom both whisper a different truth. What you call the conscious self may not be leading at all. It may only be following. Consciousness often steps in after the fact, like a narrator rushing onto the stage once the play has already begun. It takes credit, rewrites the script, and convinces you that you were the author all along. What feels like deliberate choice may instead be the theater of awareness, a carefully crafted performance to preserve the idea that you are in charge. And so the unsettling question arises: are you truly the driver of your life, or are you more like a passenger, watching the scenery unfold through the window while believing your hands are on the wheel? This is not a new dilemma. The Greeks once imagined fate as an unbreakable thread woven into every human story. Hindu philosophy described karma as the unseen architect, shaping outcomes far beyond the individual's comprehension. Today, neuroscience approaches the same mystery from a different doorway, suggesting that the sense of agency you hold so dear may be less of a truth and more of a story, an illusion told by the brain to keep alive the idea of a separate self hiding behind the eyes. And yet, even when the mask of control begins to dissolve, something deeper remains untouched. There is still awareness, something here and now, quietly watching, something that notices these very words appearing before you. There is something within you that notices the gentle rise and fall of breath, the quiet rhythm that has been present since the moment you were born. It perceives the birth of a thought, watches it shimmer for an instant, and then dissolve back into silence. This presence is not the thinker, nor the actor, nor the fragile bundle of memories stitched together into the costume of identity. It is not bound to the fleeting events that pass through it, yet it contains all of them, like the open sky holding clouds that come and go. When the sense of self is revealed as nothing more than a fragile mirage, awareness does not disappear with it. The stage may go dark, the characters may exit, the narrative may shift and crumble, but awareness remains, unchanging, silent, eternal. And so the inquiry deepens. If the thinker is not truly doing the thinking, if the actor is not the source of action, if the one you imagine sitting behind your eyes is only another mask in the theater of mind, then what is it that recognizes all of this? What is it that sees, even as all else flickers and fades? The answer cannot be found in the familiar story of me. Because that story, your history, your ambitions, your name itself, is only another appearance within awareness. Like ripples on the surface of a vast ocean, it rises and falls but does not touch the depth. What truly endures is the witness, the still, infinite space in which thoughts are born and dissolve, in which memories rise and fade, in which identity itself is painted and erased 1,000 times. Unlike the fleeting mask of the self, the witness does not vanish. It was here before the first memory formed. It will remain after the final story has ended. And if you look closely, you may notice something extraordinary. You have never seen your own face without the help of a reflection. You have never heard your own voice except as it returned to you, carried back through the world. You have never once caught the thinker in the act before thought appeared. The you imagine hiding behind your eyes has never been directly observed. And yet, despite all this, something has always been present, watching, listening, waiting, silent and unchanged, even as everything else comes and goes. An awareness vast and unchanging, in which every flicker of thought, every surge of emotion, every fleeting sensation arises like a wave and dissolves back into silence. This awareness does not belong to the story. It is not a chapter, not even the narrator. It is the stage itself upon which the entire play of life unfolds. Through the endless tide of change, this awareness has been the single constant. The child you once were has disappeared into memory. The body you inhabit has renewed itself, cell by cell, countless times, dying and being reborn in cycles unseen. Your memories have reshaped themselves, some revised, others erased, still others blurred by time. Yet through every alteration, awareness has remained untouched, unwavering, silently present. It was there in your laughter, it was there in heartbreak. It was there in the stillness of meditation, in the blur of dreams, even in the blank space of deep sleep. Identities have shifted, masks have come and gone, but the witness never moves. It simply observes. Ancient traditions have tried to give a name to this mystery. In Vedanta, it is spoken of as Sakshi, the eternal witness. In Zen, it is called the original mind. In Sufi mysticism, it is described as the radiant face of God. Each tradition points to the same silent, formless presence. The presence that has been with you all along, quietly watching. And when this presence is finally recognized, not as an idea, not as a belief, but as a direct truth, the illusion of separation begins to dissolve. The you behind your eyes, the supposed thinker behind your thoughts, is seen for what it truly is, a fleeting appearance within awareness itself, no more permanent than a passing shadow. What you really are is not confined to a body, nor imprisoned by thought. What you are is the witness, the boundless, indivisible awareness that shines through every being. The same light streams through every pair of eyes, wears every mask of personality, yet is never divided. To see this is to realize that you are not the one peering out from behind your eyes. You are the light in which the eyes themselves and the entire world they behold are seen. The story you've been told, that you are a self sitting behind your eyes, a thinker manufacturing your thoughts, an agent pulling the strings of your actions, was always fragile, always a dream. Today, science, philosophy, and timeless spiritual insight converge on the same revelation. The self is not what you thought it was. You are not the small self behind your eyes. You are the vast awareness in which eyes, thoughts, memories, identities, and entire worlds appear and dissolve. And in that recognition, the walls of separation crumble. What remains is not a limited self, but the infinite witness, the great ocean shimmering within every drop, the eternal light shining through every form. And now, take a breath. Let this truth sink deeper than thought, deeper than story. You are not a fragment struggling against the world. You are the very awareness in which the world is seen. If these words echo in your heart, don't let them fade into the noise of the world. Stay with this journey. There are truths still waiting to be uncovered, layers of illusion still ready to fall away. Subscribe so each time a new light is shared, you will be here to receive it. Let's continue to walk this path together, step by step, breath by breath, returning always to the awareness that never leaves.